So, as humans, we know that accidents sometimes happen. While we're generally relatively tough and resilient, our skin, when compared to other similar sized animals, is rather thin and fragile. Even a minor scratch can cut the surface and cause it to bleed. However, the puzzling thing about these minor cuts seems to be how the body reacts to the injury. In general, our body tries to protect us from serious injuries by registering pain. More serious the pain, more serious the injury. All fairly straightforward. So why then do we accidentally cut ourselves on, say, a sharp knife that sometimes feel less painful than a paper cut? At first glance, you'd think that a knife wound being far more serious injury than your average paper cut should hurt far more than a minor paper cut. The difference in two injuries relates to how the body goes about assessing what actually is a serious injury, or even if it's been injured at all. Now, in the skin are what are known as nociceptors, a sensory neuron or nerve ending in our skin. These receptors look a bit like an upside down tree root underneath our skin. And if one of the strands of the root is cut or damaged, it sends an immediate message to our central nervous system about the damage. The more strands that are damaged, the more pain we feel. And this system works fairly well, but it isn't actually perfect. While these nociceptors actually spread out over to cover a very large area, there are some gaps between them. So, if a fine needle like an acupuncture needle is inserted into the skin, it's possible it can miss all of the sensory neurons, and we may not feel pain when the sharp needle is actually inserted. A similar effect may also occur when we cut ourselves with a sharp knife. The blade may miss all, or more likely, most of the receptors, so only a limited message about the pain is being sent. And while a sheet of paper and a knife may on the surface seem both really sharp, on a microscopic level they're vastly different. Even if you take a careful look at a piece of paper with the naked eye, you make out that the paper doesn't actually have a smooth, sharp edge. There are random wood fibres in the paper shooting out in all directions. This makes the edge of the paper more like a saw blade than a knife. So as the paper cuts into the skin, it has a far greater chance of encountering a nociceptor than a knife blade would. The main difference between an accidental knife cut and a paper cut is where we actually tend to get them. In general, paper cuts are far more likely than knife cuts to be towards the tips of our fingers. Due to the importance of our sense of touch, tips of fingers have a far greater density of receptors than other parts of our body. So injuries to the tips of our fingers are always going to hurt more than an injury to another part of the body. So the injury will have more available receptors to activate.